Hello, 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 assalamu alaikum, good morning, khushamdi, ji ayanu, goeiemorgen,
Bakheragale, ni hao, juna shumme, washmale, ohio gazaimis, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifahal. Hale shumachatore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, puna, mucho, gracias, swavi up. And a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and watching World this morning alongside the very fantastic, the very amazing Shahzad Khan and Shiza Hashmi. Hello Shiza, how are you on a Tuesday morning?
I'm absolutely great on such a beautiful morning because, ladies and gentlemen, in the Twin Cities, well, in Islamabad though, it's very beautiful. It's been raining throughout the night almost. And when I was reaching the office, it was raining a bit as well. I don't know about right now, but the beginning has been great.
Well, it feels great, ladies and gentlemen. And you know, whenever the weather's great, your mood's great too as well. You know, the type of songs you're going to listen to are going to be different as well. So, you know, you're in a proper zone. And what I would recommend is that whatever zone you're in, I mean, obviously we do not want you to be depressed early in the morning or have anxiety.
Or ever.
Or, you know, you speeding up to reach office or whatever the problem may probably be. Just put it aside, enjoy the weather, take a good cup of tea or coffee and just have fun, relax. You know, life is... Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, but do you have like a specific playlist for rain or according to the weather?
Yep, you know, whenever rain starts to downpour, ladies and gentlemen, the only playlist I have is by Adnan Sami. You know, because I think that he's actually sung a lot of songs about rain. Barish ki rim kuch ga rahi hai, you know, things like that. Even though that, you know, I'm not a big fan of Adnan Sami for what he did. But it's perfectly all right. You know, music has no boundaries, music has no languages, so no hard feelings. What about you?
I do, of course, have like a different playlist for almost every other mood. But today... Oh, Rafi, right?
Yeah.
I absolutely love. Okay, but for today, for some reason, I did not even feel like listening to any sort of music because it was so beautiful just to watch outside the window. But other than that, you know, coming back to things that have been happening, just yesterday, Shahzad, we spoke about how our premier is in the US, making name again for Pakistan, being amazing that he already is. Two more important things happened. First one being the closest to our hearts, of course, for every Pakistani out there. Kashmir, ladies and gentlemen. So there was a discussion between Trump and Imran Khan himself.
Yes. And, you know, they actually, in fact, President Trump mentioned about Kashmir as well. And he said in his remarks that, you know, how beautiful of a place it is on earth and, you know, that there are bombs going all over the place and that, you know, the leadership from both the countries can actually be of help. And if such kind of leadership cannot actually come up with a solution, who else will? So I think that this was very promising. And other than that, President Trump even talked about how we can actually benefit from US and how US can benefit from Pakistan in terms of trade. And President Trump in his remarks while he was speaking said that, you know, that the business can actually increase by many folds, not 10%, 20%, probably 50%. I think that it's a great, it's a great thing. And then at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, the best part is, I mean, I know that people have been scoring politically, you know, over the fact that how Nawaz Sharif actually used to do things and then how our Premier Imran Khan is doing it. But believe me, you know, while I was watching the complete ceremony or the thing or the press conference, I could see that, you know, that the body language of both the leaders was upright and that they were comfortable with each other. They were making eye contacts. And then at the same time...
And nothing was scripted though.
And you know, both the leaders were respectable towards each other. And this is what we want. This is what they want as well. Everybody wants respect, you know, so you give respect, you take respect. That's how our premier is. And that's how we're going to move forward. And I think that it's a good omen. And on the other hand, I think that one of the reporters during the press conference spoke about, asked a question about Asif Siddiqui as well. So it's a great omen. I think that, you know, things are going to go into the right direction. They are already going in the right direction. And
you know, Shahzad, this was just probably before Imran Khan left for the US. Dr. Afia Siddiqui's mother, of course, she lives in Pakistan. She wrote an open letter to Imran Khan asking for him to go negotiate about Dr. Afia Siddiqui. She was imprisoned for 86 years. She's a neuroscientist in Pakistan. Everyone knows the history, whatnot. And I think almost every other time, whenever there has been a visit to Pakistan, to the US from Pakistan, at some level, these negotiations have taken place. But this time, of course, in the press conference, both the presidents said that this is something to be discussed in the near future, in the next meeting probably. So fingers crossed. We really, really, really want her back home safe and sound.
Exactly. That's great. And I think that all those Pakistanis who are out there, may you be in any country where PTV World is actually watchable. I think all we need to do is just have some patience and just pray that everything turns out to be good and in favor of Pakistan. That's great, you know. So this is one thing out of the way. But other than that, you know, today, ladies and gentlemen, the topic we've picked up on, I've got a very different opinion on that.
Okay.
She's just got a very different opinion on that. And the guests we've invited
and we decided
today,
not to speak about my opinion, but it's okay.
yeah, and the guests we've invited today, ladies and gentlemen, they've got a very different opinion about what we are talking about. So, Shiza, do you want to give it away?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are again talking about books, book reading, how important it is as an act, how important it is to take it forward in the near future for our generations as well. Because just yesterday, Shazad, remember the picture of the day? We were speaking about how because of the technological advancements, we have been leaving behind the paperbacks and whatnot. You know, we're not really hooked to books anymore. But there are still some people in the world who are absolutely in love with books. And that is what we're celebrating today.
Exactly. And that's great. You know, I do not have anything against that. But ladies and gentlemen, I am a type of person who wants to evolve, who wants to accept change. And I think that change is the only thing which is permanent as well. So regarding and in relation to the picture we shared in our previous show, which you can obviously catch up on YouTube if you have not seen it, if you've missed it, it was basically a tablet, a controller, or technological aspects and technological gadgets which were actually dragging the book to the grave. Now, I have a very different opinion. My opinion is of the sort that, you know, by the end of the day, you need to read something, you know, and when you read, you not even knowing that, you know, how your brain is actually coping up with so many other things, how your personality development is coming along. You might not even realize that, but all of this does happen when you read. You know, it's not that when you read from a book. So what I'm going to say over here, what I'm going to imply over here, what I'm going to advocate today is that, you know, it does not really matter whether you read from a book or from a tablet. By the end of the day, we just want people to read because you will obviously learn, and then you will grow, and then, you know, the way you think, the way you comprehend, things will change, and you will see that and you will realize that.
Thank you so much for saying that, Shazad.
No problem,
and I think that
anytime.
is a beautiful note to begin the show with.
Yeah, and without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, so today, you know, yesterday we were thinking, you know, who to actually invite on the show. So this is very interesting.
Yeah.
So our teachers, our professors, they always make us study books, you know, and those books which I think I've never ever utilized that kind of knowledge in my life so far. So I'm sorry, but yeah.
Like the math theorems and...
that does happen. So what we did was that my idea was generally to actually invite one of my professors.
Yeah.
So we have done that. And I'm actually going to ask him that for all of those things which they have been teaching us in universities and colleges and schools and made us read three books and whatnot. And, you know, you can take lessons from this one or this one. Where is it? Where do you think I need to use it? You know, these are the things which I'm going to ask him. But this is about book reading. We'll keep it to that too as well. But without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, one of my very favorite professors from back in the day, from my university, Air University, ladies and gentlemen. He's an analyst himself. He's a professor himself. He's none other than Mr. Asif Rasool. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you very much.
So first things first, how do you feel when a grown-up man like me calls you a professor while you're still young?
It really feels lovely.
It feels lovely. Okay, even if it was otherwise, he's not going to let us know on television. All right, but thank you very much for being with us. It was wonderful to have you. And alongside Mr. Asif Rasool, ladies and gentlemen, we've been joined by somebody who's a public speaker herself. She's got a different opinion. While we were in conversation before the show, she said, I'm going to differ. And I was like, sure, why not? Let's do it on air. She's none other than Miss Mehrooz. Jarar. Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. So let's get the conversation started. I do not want it to be boring and dragging and whatnot, or to brag about book reading and how good it is. Let's get things straight. How do you think that a book can actually change somebody's life?
Well, I mean, first of all, I really appreciate that you just selected and chose this program for this current generation, what we call computer generation, internet generation, Y generation, or millennials, exactly. And because we badly need this change, and it's said that if without books, you just live your own life. But if you are very fond of reading books, you read 10 to 15, 20, like it goes according to your own taste. You live 1,000 lives, 100 lives, because all these writers who have got wonderful observation, they just come up with the fantastic ideas, and usually when you just read them, you just get different perspective. For example, the way we sit in the car and we are going to drive, so we are going to see everything from the screen. Similarly, these different writers, they are going to provide a different perspective, and through this perspective, we are going to have, like, through these new lens, we are just going to have like fresh experiences and all that. And as Shehzad has rightly said, and I second this thing as well, that we have got to basically keep changing ourselves, because after certain years there's a new requirement, and we have got to properly adhere to those specific time, and there are new skills, qualities, and thinking style. So now this is the era of technology, and I have properly, when my favorite presenters, Jeremy Clarkson, word properly twice, I mean, by putting a lot of emphasis on this, I have embraced technology like anything, and I have seen literally, it's been like 6 or 7 months. I've seen that, like, I really appreciate from core of my heart to all these Westerners. Those who just provide us and upload books on various sites. These are the latest, highly expensive books, and now I can just get them free. For example, I am just going to start with this one book by Elizabeth Gilbert. It's like magic. It's such a fascinating book, because I am grown up, like I'm a teacher, I guide people, I coach people, I have to back up my students as well. But sometimes we too have our own reservation, or like certain shyness, barriers and all that. So I can just tell you, a week back when I was about to finish that book, oh my goodness, I mean, I was feeling that kind of magic inside me. And there was like certain thing I was really afraid of, that what if I'm just going to share it on book, or I'm just going to share it on internet, or I'm going to tell the people. What people are going to respond. That was such a, but just going through that book, the way she shared the experience, that, you know, like, you have got to go outside, tell the people why to take care of this. I mean, the way she convinced me. So I would say that I'm really thankful to Elizabeth Gilbert, who really provided me with that capacity. And Asif, Rasool was there just to, and early in the morning, I just texted to Miss Shabnam Riaz.
Okay.
And that was my first act, that, ma'am, just read this book. This is wonderful, and you're the most appropriate person to read it, because this is what she has, this book has provided it to me. So this is such a fascinating thing.
It's just great, but let's see what Miss Mehrooz has to say. Go ahead.
I personally think book reading, I actually, where I disagree with you about technology, I also agree with you. I do understand that we have to evolve with time, but at the same time, we have to understand that there are health benefits, and our young generation,
health benefits of reading a book,
benefits, and there's some drawbacks of using technology for books.
Go ahead.
Young people specifically, we're addicted to mobiles, tablets, right? Another issue with book reading is I've always found books as a way to relax, de-stress and everything. So at night, when I try to do it every day, even if I'm really busy, I'll do like a 10-minute of reading, or like 20 minutes. And I get in bed and I get like a dim lamp and stuff, and then I read and I go to sleep, right? And I was reading that if you use mobile phones before going to sleep, you are stopping your body from producing melatonin, which is a hormone, because the light affects your brain so much. And if we are, advocating that to our young children, obviously they already have so many issues. Young children, they're already going through mental illnesses. They're going through things like comparison and stress at a very young age. We would not be going through that when we were younger.
True.
Or if we were, we were not aware of it. So I personally think that with book reading, it has to be the traditional way. Yes, sometimes when you can't really use a tablet and stuff, you can use audiobooks. They are so much better. It's a therapeutic experience. You can put it in, plug it in, and you know what? Listen to the author speak.
Absolutely. I think I do agree with you. Speaking of audiobooks, I mean, when we used to be little, when we didn't know how to read and stuff, Mom used to have this, book reading duck for us. You would put in a cassette, and then it would read out, stories to you and whatnot. I think you're really hooked up to that sort of thing when you were growing up with that as well. But Mehrooz,
I'm just forced to think, how would a duck actually sound? Was it still a quacking sound in the tape?
No, it wasn't. It was just
it was like proper. It was just a duck, but the sound was proper.
Yes, I mean, it looked like as if the duck was reading. It was really beautiful. But Mehrooz, do you think, since you're into fiction a lot, right, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
So don't you think that it's sort of a hobby that grows onto you? I mean, you start a book, you like it, you're into a totally different world. You are absolutely hooked, you want to turn pages. And you are living in that world, and when the book finishes, it hurts.
It's heartbreaking. It's honestly heartbreaking. I remember as a teenager, I read The Fault in Our Stars, and it's something that was crazy with all the teenagers. The main characters, they go
Right.
through a lot of things. And I think I cried myself for the next 2-3 days because my favorite character dies.
Oh, okay.
But at the same time, there's always a valuable lesson. It depends on the person who reads it and how they see it. You learn from books a lot,
Exactly.
right? So I want to talk about my favorite book. Khalid Hosseini is my all-time favorite, even though I've grown out of that phase. And A Kite Runner is a book that I've always related to, in, I don't know, in so many ways. And I just feel that that book, the specific lesson that we learned from that book was that children's are not coloring books.
Exactly.
For us to color in our favorite colors, because the problem with adults is they tend to push children to fulfill their desires, their passions that they could not conquer.
Exactly.
And that was something that got so embedded in me that I felt that, in the future, that's something that I would talk about to other people, to grown-ups, because they need to know this.
And that's great. Thank you very much for mentioning about Khalid Hosseini Sahab. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a fabulous writer, because when he writes, the way he explains the type of place he was, the weather, the type of people, the grass, each and every detail, you can find it. And let me be very clear over here that whenever you're going to read a book, ladies and gentlemen, you are actually going to experience more emotions than watching a film or reading it elsewhere as well. Absolutely. And the best part over here is, Mehrooz, I'm sorry, but I think that you've got bibliosomia. And bibliosomia is actually that thing where you actually have to feel the scent of the paper. That's what called. And ladies and gentlemen, just another fun fact that the most expensive book on this planet is worth $30.8 million.
What?
So there's something. And the word nerd was actually used back in 1950 in the book. In the book, If I Ran the Zoo. I think that's what the name is. But very quickly, what I wanted to know was that whenever I read a book, so I make my own judgments about it, that, this might have been the case, this might have been the case. You think about it. But eventually what I've seen people doing is that whoever they read, what they do is they start believing in it as well. Do you think that it is always correct to believe in what the author has said or to do a rain check?
Well, it depends. It depends on your exposure, your knowledge. I mean, people perhaps who are going to read something first time, so they're going to like. And then there is another problem as well. For example, when you're going to read your favorite author, so it's whatever they're saying, you just take them as it is. The way, like, you TV presenters are there, so whatever you're saying, your audience is going to feel in the same manner, and they might start off with certain hobbies because their favorite presenters are saying it. So I just watch, after watching that like one film of one of my favorite hero, I just saw that the way he was just drinking, that was so fascinating. I mean, I was a teacher and I was thinking that, we have got this young generation, I can ask my students to watch that movie. But then I was saying that, like, if my hero is going to affect me this much, that I feel like, I mean, having like one or two, so I am not there just to.
What was in the glass though?
Well, forbidden water.
Ladies and gentlemen, fresh water. Okay, that's
Sparkling water.
Sparkling water. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, go ahead.
Then
what's the harm in drinking water then?
Yes. Well, you're in the best.
No,
place.
It's all right. Okay, we get it. We get
used to
it. So
mineral
what you're trying
water,
to say
right?
is
So we
that,
can't really-
even in books and films, they do glamorize.
Glamorize.
And it's not really important that it is for all of us too as well.
But
That's what you're
it's
saying.
books. The basic purpose of these books is they just provide us with clarity. For example, talking about this one forbidden phenomena, I would say, in Pakistan, a taboo word. This is about the prostitution in Lahore, like especially this Red District area. So I just read these typical Pakistani guys who just wrote about that, and they did not provide us any kind of solid. These were mere opinion. Then one of the doctor she just came and she just wrote one book, Taboo. This is like a research-based book, and this book is being used as a textbook in more than like 10 universities in the world.
Wow.
So believe me, I had a very different perspective about this phenomena. I mean, the way people used to tell us, this area is like this and we should hate these people, they're bad and all that. I can just tell you that right after going through that book, I told my friend that, well, I am in love with these people. This is the credit. Because the way she provided us with the clarity of the people, the way they suffer, and the way the miserable lives are. And if people from our parts of the world, they try to go there are so many stakeholders, they won't let you in. So this is the...
Okay, that's great. Now I'm going to give you another example over here. And Mehrooz, I want you to answer it first as well. Now, obviously, people who actually write books are humans themselves. You know, it's not that they're from somewhere else and that we actually have to understand them. Now, recently, I'm going to give you an example, and I think that people really need to judge the authors too as well.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
obviously,
but I have to say that. For example, I'm going to talk about Shahid Afridi. He just came up with his own book, and you know, he said so many things which were controversial in so many other ways. And that gentleman actually never had the guts to actually say it while he was playing cricket. Where do you think that that author is going to be when he's not credible for all of the life he has lived and he's writing a book about that life? I mean, do you think that people actually need to follow such authors, or people actually need to be following or reading books from authors who actually have some credibility to themselves? I'm sorry to say that,
No,
but
but
this
it's
is
a
how
really
it is.
great
And it
point.
is just about the book.
That's great.
I think basically, again, it depends on people. I'm open to reading all types of books. And the reason for that is the different type of books always bring different perspectives, right? Even if the author isn't credible, you can understand the sort of person they are, and you can understand the life that they have led. And if we're talking about controversial books, then Reham Khan's book is on the top of the list. I read it and I was like, okay, you know, this is a completely different perspective of a different human. So I believe that it depends on the reader.
Okay.
The writer gives an image, and it depends on how much you can bring creativity from it and how you take it.
Exactly.
Some people are closed-minded. They will read a book and they will blindly believe it. Some people, on the other hand, would actually go and research. And the best thing about books is it brings an inspiration. When it brings an inspiration, it could be about a place. Some people like reading about places and stuff. And you would want to travel the world just because an author has given you a picture that you've never seen before.
Exactly, yes.
So again, you're expanding your horizon. It depends on how you see the world and how you read that book.
No, but
Sort of
recently I've seen authors expanding their horizon in terms of finances, in terms of money. So, you know, what I've seen is that, you know, obviously, you know, we say that is cheez ki ek apni ek hurmat hai, you know. So we try to define that, you know, there is this level of authenticity, of transparency or ethics about book writing. I think that people are actually forgetting that just to get some numbers into their bank accounts.
Yeah, it's all
and this is
commercial
not
now.
done.
I mean, no one's staying true to the art, you're saying.
Yes,
It's all
exactly.
commercial.
And that's where we bring in social media. That's where we bring in technology. We call them out. We have to, as young people, be open to the fact that authors can be wrong as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Right? And we should call them out. We should discuss these things, and it should be an open thing. It should be something we blindly follow, because that's been a norm in the past. People just read books, and this goes for coursework, this goes for everything out there, and then we just believe it. But I think that sort of culture we find in the West, and we need to bring that more in Pakistan, where people actually question, you know, writers and their writings.
Right, no, Mehrooz, but you're right, you know, even in Pakistan, the people who actually do read do question. And I think the conversation that we've had so far, I think it's safe to establish from whatever you said, and you said as well, that definitely there is an impact of whoever is writing to the reader, but you can only be safe from that impact, or, you know, from being manipulated, if you have enough things to read and then build different perspectives and then choose your favorite one. You know what? I've read all of them and this is what I believe in.
Exactly.
So that is
totally
how
agree.
reading is important
Exactly.
and why. I'm so sorry I'm cutting you over here, but right now we have a segment we have recently introduced. It's called Picture of the Day. We will put a picture on the screen, and then the first thing that comes to your mind, we will discuss. Okay? Let's have it.
Let's take a look. All right.
Okay, this is a happy picture.
Yeah, but I don't know whether the dog's happy or not, because the kid's actually holding its ear. Yeah.
Probably is in pain or something.
Yeah, so Mehrooz, what do you have to say about this
I think
picture?
it's a naughty
I
picture.
find it absolutely adorable.
Yeah, it's so
I
cute.
am a pet lover. I love animals, and I've always wanted a dog.
Really?
But my parents
Yeah.
don't like dogs.
Same is the case with me
Right.
too as well. But before Asif Sahib is going to say something about the picture, I actually have to say something. And ladies and gentlemen, just look at this boy. Just because this boy is very young, obviously he's not wearing clothes, he's still in diapers. But imagine that he's so unaware of the fact that how world is actually working, how the world is progressing, how people are wearing branded clothes, how they're wearing, or how they're driving expensive cars and the kind of lifestyles they've got. Imagine that he's just happy because of the fact that he does not know all of these things which he'll actually have to do when he grows up. So don't grow up, it's a trap. Be happy.
Ignorance is bliss.
Definitely.
What about you, Asif Sahib?
I mean, such a fascinating and beautiful age where you have no worries, issues, and problem, and the way
the only thing you have to worry about is you pooping in your diaper. I think that's it. And mama scolding you. Yeah.
And obviously, mother is there just to take care of that thing. But like I can see from this picture that birds, pets, they're always fascinating to kids, and they feel like going to them, they feel like touching them, they feel like communicating with them, and they really feel like enjoying their company.
I think that's great. Shiza, what about you?
Well, I think this is a very happy picture, and I'm not an animals fan, like to have them as a pet.
Yeah.
But I think this, again, we can relate to books as well. I mean, for children, even for my future children, I will definitely have one of the two, either books or pets. So I think it's going to be books because pets I can't afford.
I think both.
In my house.
Both.
No, it's great friends to kids, of course. I mean, even when you don't have time for them because you have so many things and stuff going on, if they're hooked to books, it's absolutely safe and a good thing. And if they're hooked to pets, that's even good. I mean, they have friends, right?
Yeah, well, that's great. And it's your choice because it's your home and it's your kids, okay?
Yes.
Sure.
think when parents see too many, like I used to read a lot. I used to hide under my bed covers and read.
Wow, that's like an
'cause
ideal kid.
I
That's what I
I
wanted
was
to do.
not allowed to read after 9 o'clock because I had to sleep and I
Okay.
had school, but I had to like read till 12 or 1 a.m. And when I used to do that, my parents used to get really worked up.
Yeah.
Right. So at the same time, some kids get really obsessive with books. So
Okay.
you might want to bring in a
Yeah.
pet.
In
It's
a-
just
yeah,
a suggestion.
absolutely.
That's great. Well, thank you very much, sir, for being with us. It was wonderful to have you. Thank you very much, ma'am, for being with us. And for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen. So, Sir Asif over here actually said that, we should actually recommend a book. So, I'm going to recommend one.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
It is a recent read, ladies and gentlemen, and the name of the book is The Art of Thinking Clearly. It's by Debelly.
Okay.
And it's a wonderful book.
Yeah.
The way it's been written it's wonderful, and it's very simple for anybody to understand. And let me tell you that you're definitely going to change the way you're thinking right now.
Wow.
Because it gets so complicated.
I'm
Khala
gonna
kya kahenge,
start.
mamu kya kahenge,
Yeah.
chachu kya kahenge. So he's got answers to each and everything.
Wow.
How you need to respond to people. Make sure that you study that. The name of the book, once again, is The Art of Thinking Clearly by Debelly. Right now we're going for?
A very short break, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we have something refreshing for you because we are absolutely in love with this weather, and nothing compliments rain more than great music.
Yes,
I
let's
gave
do
it away.
that.
Stay tuned. Good morning.